Hello everyone and welcome back to Advice Avenue, the podcast by Citizens Advice East Lancashire, the place to get the answers to your questions. I'm your host Milen, the social media manager of Citizens Advice East Lancashire, and I'm here with my team.
Hi, I'm Judy and I work on the HMRC project.
Hi, I'm Shahid and I also work on the HMRC project. I'm a senior advisor on tax issues.
Hello, my name is Gay. I work here at Citizens Advice East Lancs. I tend to cover the Burnley and Pendle area, and my job is advice support and caseworker.
I'm Reece Fairclough. I work on digital support sessions.
Alright, today we're talking about the financial help and benefits available for new and existing parents in the UK. That includes maternity and paternity pay, child benefits, tax-free childcare, and more. The episode is especially useful if you're expecting a child, just had one, or are raising children and want to understand what support you can get. Alright, before we get into today's topic, it's quiz time. Riz has put together a few questions to test the team. Let's see them, Riz.
Starting at the beginning, if you're self-employed, can you claim any maternity benefits?
Yes, you are able to claim maternity allowance, and that also applies to you if you haven't worked for your employer for at least 26 weeks. The good thing to know is that it's tax-free.
Who can apply for child benefit?
So anyone who's responsible for a child under the age of 16 or under the age of 20 if they're in full-time education.
For an extra point, when can you apply?
As soon as the child is born, but don't wait too long because claims can only be backdated 3 months. You can use the HMRC app to do this. Alright, starting a family. What support is available? What financial help is available when you're expecting a baby? Alright, Judy?
Yeah, to start with, there's statutory maternity pay. To get statutory maternity pay, an employee must have been employed by the same employer continuously for at least 26 weeks up to the end of the 15th week before the baby is due. You need to have been earning at least £123 a week, and that's before tax based on the 25-26 threshold. And you need to give your employer the correct amount of notice. This is at least 28 days before you want your statutory maternity pay to start, and you need to provide proof of pregnancy. That is the MAT-B1 certificate from your midwife or doctor.
Alright, how much is it?
Statutory maternity pay is paid for up to 39 weeks. So for the first 6 weeks, you'll get 90% of your average weekly earnings before tax. For the remaining 33 weeks, that's £184.03 per week. This is based on the current rate for 2025-26, or 90% of average weekly earnings if it's lower than that amount. And you need to remember that statutory maternity pay is subject to tax and national insurance.
Okay, and for how long you can claim statutory maternity pay?
You can start claiming anytime from 11 weeks before the expected week of childbirth. If your baby is born early, statutory maternity pay starts automatically the day after the birth. If you've been off work due to pregnancy-related illness in the 4 weeks before the due date, statutory maternity pay will also start automatically.
Okay, let's go to maternity allowance. Shahi, what do you have for maternity allowance? Who can claim it?
So maternity allowance, you may be able to claim maternity allowance if you cannot get statutory maternity pay. For example, if you are self-employed, you have changed jobs or haven't been with one employer long enough. Your average earnings are too low for statutory maternity pay. You must have been employed or self-employed for at least 26 weeks in the 66 weeks before the baby is due. These weeks don't need to be consecutively in a row, and earned at least £30 a week on average in any 13 weeks of that 66-week test period. So you can get up to 39 weeks, either £184.03 per week, that's the standard rate, or 90% of your average weekly earnings, whichever is lower. If you don't qualify for full allowance, you may get maternity allowance at £27 per week for up to 14 weeks. For example, if you're self-employed partner but don't pay full class 2 NI. Maternity allowance is paid usually, which starts 11 weeks before the baby is due or later if chosen. If the baby arrives early, it starts the day after the birth. It's paid every 2 or 4 weeks in arrears directly into your bank account. To claim maternity allowance, you need to complete the MA1 claim form, which you can download from the Gov UK or phone, or order it by phone, or send it with relevant documentation, for example, proof of income, e.g. pay slips, accounts, maternity certificate, MAT B1, proof of self-employment if relevant, e.g. Class 2 NI payments, post a claim to Job Centre Plus address on form, so it should be on the form.
So just as a quick summary then, maternity allowance is designed as a safety net for people who don't qualify for statutory maternity pay. It's especially commonly used for people who are self-employed, people who are in casual or short-term work, or people who've recently changed employers. And just to remember, maternity allowance is tax-free. It's not subject to income tax or national insurance. You can't get maternity allowance and statutory maternity pay at the same time, and you can't get maternity allowance while you're in receipt of job seekers allowance, employment support allowance, or statutory sick pay. And if you're self-employed, paying Class 2 national insurance contributions in full can help secure your entitlement to the standard rate being £184.03.
All right. And here I'm going to add about the Sure Start Maternity Grant. What is it and how can it be claimed? Maternity Grant is a one-off payment from the government to help with the cost of having a baby. It does not have to be repaid, and it's tax-free, and it doesn't affect other benefits or credits. Who can claim it? You can claim it if you're expecting a baby or you had a baby in the last 6 months, and if it's your first child, or if you're expecting a multiple birth, for example, twins or have other children, and if you're getting one of those benefits: universal credit, income support, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related employment and support allowance, pension credit, child tax credit, working tax credit, that includes a disability or severe disability element. For multiple births, you may qualify even if you already have children. When and how to claim it? You can claim it from 11 weeks before the baby is due until 6 months after the birth. If you need any help filling a form and you live in the Pendle area, you can come to our digital support sessions, which are 2 times a week. And for up-to-date info, you can check our website. A little bit more about the Sure Start Maternity Grant. Judy, what do you want to add?
So just to sum up, you can claim your maternity grant from 11 weeks before the baby is due until 6 months after the birth. You need to use a form called SF100, Sure Start. You can download that or order it from .gov.uk, and your form must be signed by a health professional, for example, your midwife. You send the completed form to a free post address, which is DWP SSMG, and you don't need to have a stamp, obviously, because it is a free post. What will happen next is that if your application is approved, the grant is paid directly into your bank account. If it's refused, you can ask for it to be reconsidered through something called a mandatory reconsideration. Just to summarise, there's a one-off £500 payment to help with baby costs. That is for the first child. If you're having twins or multiple children, then obviously that is increased. You must be on certain income-related benefits, and the claim window is from 11 weeks before the due date to 6 months after the birth.
All right, thank you very much, Judy. All right, let's talk about maternity and paternity leave and pay.
Okay, so statutory maternity leave is 52 weeks, and it's made up of 2 parts. The first, ordinary maternity leave, is your first 26 weeks of leave. Your additional maternity leave is your last 26 weeks. You don't have to take the full 52 weeks, but you must take 2 weeks leave after your baby is born, or 4 weeks if you work in a factory. There's a planner online that you can use to work out the dates for your ordinary and additional leave. And you may be able to take some of your leave as shared parental leave, and we'll talk about that shortly.
All right.
So when it comes to start dates and early births, usually the earliest you can start your leave is 11 weeks before the expected week of childbirth. Leave might also start if the day after the birth of the baby, if the baby is early, and automatically if you're off work for a pregnancy-related illness.
Okay, what about paternity leave and pay?
So paternity leave gives eligible employees time off to support their partner and bond with their new baby or adopted child. Who can take paternity leave? The father, the mother's partner's spouse, civil partner, or a partner including same-sex partner, or the adopter or intended partner through a surrogacy arrangement. You must also have worked continuously for your employer for at least 26 weeks and up to the end of the 15th week before the baby is due. Give your employer the correct notice, which needs to be at least 15 weeks before the due date. How much leave can you take? So from April 24, eligible employees can take up to 2 weeks of statutory paternity leave. These 2 weeks don't have to be taken together. You can split them into 2 separate 1-week blocks if you wish. Leave must be taken within 52 weeks of the birth or adoption. Statutory paternity pay is paid up to 2 weeks. Rate equals lower of £184.03 per week, or 90% of the average weekly earnings. Paid through your employer like wages, subject to tax and national insurance.
All right.
So just thinking about the summary then, you can use a maternity planner to work out your earliest dates that you can start your maternity leave. And you also can change your date for returning to work, but you must give your employer at least 8 weeks notice if you want to do that.
All right, so how do we actually claim the paternity leave?
So to claim paternity leave is similar to the maternity leave. You need to notify your employer at least 15 weeks before the baby is due or within 7 days of the adoption match. You need to provide evidence of the MAT B1 certificate or adoption papers to your employer, and your paternity leave and pay will be paid directly through your wages, similar to the maternity leave and pay process.
All right. So let's talk about shared parental leave. How does it work?
Shared parental leave lets parents share up to 50 weeks of leave and 37 weeks of pay between them after birth or adoption of a child. It offers flexibility. Leave can be taken into blocks at the same time or separately. So who can take shared parental leave? You may be eligible if you're having a baby, using a surrogate or adopting. One parent is entitled to maternity, adoption leave or pay or maternity allowance. Both parents meet employment and earning tests. Continuity of employment test. One partner has worked for the same employer for at least 26 weeks by the end of the 15th week before the due date or adoption match. The second test is employment and earning test. The other partner must have worked, employed or self-employed, for at least 26 weeks in 66 weeks before the due date, earning at least £30 a week for 13 of those weeks. So how much leave can be shared? So maternity leave equals up to 52 weeks, 39 weeks paid. Secondly, to create shared paternity leave, the mother/adopter must curtail their maternity or adoption leave pay early. Thirdly, the remaining leave pay can be taken as shared parental leave or pay. Example, if maternity leave ends after 20 weeks, there would be 32 weeks leave and 19 weeks pay available to share.
Okay, so just thinking about statutory shared parental pay, that's paid for up to 37 weeks at the lower of these two, either £184.03 per week, that's our current rate for this year, or 90% of average weekly earnings. It is subject to tax and national insurance. So if you want to take leave, as has already been said, you can take this in one continuous block, or you can split it with work in between, subject to your employer's agreement. Or both parents can take leave at the same time if they wish. In order to use your shared parental leave, employees have to give at least 8 weeks written notice to their employer, and they need to provide a notice of entitlement. So you need to say how much leave or pay is available and how you intend to use it. You need to confirm the leave dates in writing. So you can usually make up to 3 separate requests if you want to take it in different pieces rather than in one continuous block. You've got the same rights as you do during maternity or paternity leave. You continue to build up holiday during your employment, and you return to the same job at the end of it. or if a suitable alternative is available if your leave extends over 26 weeks. And you have obviously got protection from unfair treatment or dismissal. Just to summarise, statutory paternity leave allows couples to share their childcare more flexibly. You have up to 50 weeks of leave and 37 weeks of pay which can be shared. To access it though, you must curtail your maternity or adoption leave and maternity pay. Your pay is at the same statutory rate as statutory maternity pay after the first 6 weeks. And advance notice, an agreement with your employer must be agreed.
All right, guys, just a little bit more about the shared parental pay. Shahid, what do you have to add?
So for shared parental pay, it's paid up to 37 weeks at the lower rate of £184.03 per week. That's the 25-26 year rate, or 90% of the average weekly earnings. And this income is subject to tax and NI.
All right, Judy, if you have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, as far as who can get it, you might be eligible for shared parental pay if one of you is already getting statutory maternity pay, maternity allowance, or statutory adoption pay, and that parent has already curtailed their pay early. So both parents need to meet the employment and earnings test. Basically what that means is you need to have worked for the same employer for at least 26 weeks by the 15th week before the due date or the adoption match. And you need to be earning at least £123 per week. And that's before tax according to this year's threshold. So just a reminder then that self-employed parents are not able to claim shared parental pay, but they may qualify for maternity allowance instead. Your rights while receiving shared parental pay, you do continue to build up your annual leave, and you're protected from unfair dismissal or discrimination.
Okay, let's talk about support after the baby is born. What benefits can a parent get once the baby is here?
Well, you can get a child benefit, which is a regular tax-free payment made to parents or guardians to help with the cost of raising children.
All right, who gets it then? Who can get it?
Anyone who can claim is anyone responsible for a child under 16 or under 20 if they're in education. Only one person can claim for each child, and you don't need to be a biological parent. It can be any kind of guardian. That's legal.
All right, and how much is that? How much?
You can get £25.60 per week for your eldest child, and then an extra £16.95 for every additional child you have. An example of this would be a family of 3 children. The eldest would receive £25.60, and the second and third child would each receive an extra £16.95, which means the parents will get £59.50 a week.
All right, and how can people apply?
You can fill in a form called a CH2, which is a child benefit claim form. This is available on the government website. You can also you have to send this into the child benefit office, also with a child's original birth or adoption certificate. And for children born outside the UK, you may need an extra document, such as a proof of residence.
You also need to report any changes. You can apply using the HMRC app, but you also need to report changes there too. So if your child leaves education or training, they move out of the family home, if you start or stop living with your partner, or you move abroad, all of those changes can be reported through the HMRC app.
All right, thank you guys. How it's paid?
So child benefit is paid every 4 weeks directly into your bank account, or single parents or low income families can also ask for weekly payments.
All right, we have Gay here with us. Hi, Gay.
Hi.
So Gay is gonna talk about guardian's allowance. What is it and who is eligible?
Okay, so as in the name, guardian's allowance is paid. It's a weekly tax-free payment for people bringing up a child whose parents have died, or in some cases where one parent has died and the other one is missing or is unable to look after the child. Now, in order to apply for guardian's allowance, you need a personal tax account to be set up. It's paid on top of child benefit. And the people who could get it, you would qualify if you're bringing up a child and both parents have died, or one has died and the other parent is missing, when you've done your best to try and find the other parent.
Yeah.
The responsible parent could be in prison for 2 years or more, or could be detained in hospital by a court order, or the It could be a parent who's not named on a child's birth certificate and with the best of intentions can't be found. The claimant must already be getting child benefit for that child to claim. See, the amount that you get is £21.75 per week. This is tax-free and it's paid in addition to the normal child benefit. It's paid into your bank account every 4 weeks, or for single parents or low-income families, it can be asked for as a weekly payment. So to claim it, you fill in a BG1 form, which is available on the gov.uk site. It can be sent to the Guardian's Allowance unit and the address is on the form. There is a phone number that you can ring, especially dedicated to this department. For proof, you need to have the child's full birth certificate. You may need the parent's death certificate or documents showing why the surviving parent can't be found to care for the child, and proof that you're receiving the child benefit. You do have to send original certificates, and then they'll be returned to you. So if you're eligible for the Guardian's Allowance, this will mostly be grandparents, maybe aunties, uncles, who've taken over the care of the child with the missing parents. It doesn't affect your other benefits or tax credits. You just have to make sure you let HMRC know if your circumstances have changed.
All right, thank you very much, Gay. We all know childcare is expensive, so what help is available for people?
So childcare, you may be familiar with the childcare voucher system that used to be in place. This is now replaced by the new Tax-Free Childcare. So Tax-Free Childcare is a government scheme that helps working parents with childcare costs. For every £8 you pay into an online childcare account, the government adds £2, up to £2,000 per child per year, or £4,000 if the child is disabled. So who can get childcare, tax-free childcare? You may be eligible if your child is under 11 or under 17 if they are disabled. Both parents or a single parent are working, employed or self-employed, and earning at least equivalent of 16 hours per week at national minimum wage, about £167 per week in the year 25-26 tax year. Each parent earns less than 100,000 per year. How does this work? You open an online childcare account through gov.uk website. You pay money into the account and the government tops it up by 25%. You use the account to pay registered childcare providers such as nurseries, childminders, nannies, after-school clubs, holiday clubs, etc. Your childcare provider must also be signed up to the scheme. How much can you get? Up to £500 every 3 months per child. That's £2,000 per year maximum. If your child is disabled, you can get up to £1,000 every 3 months and up to £4,000 a year maximum.
All right. Judy, anything else that you can add?
Yeah, all that's really good to know. How do you apply? You can apply online if you are comfortable doing that. You look at .gov.uk website under Tax-Free Childcare. You will need some ID, your national insurance number, your child's birth certificate or details, and details of your income. And once you've been approved, you set up your account and you start paying your childcare providers directly. So one thing to bear in mind, just as we said earlier, childcare vouchers, the old scheme, has now been replaced by tax-free childcare. And you can't use it at the same time as universal credit childcare support. So just bear that in mind. You can use it alongside your 30 free hours of childcare for 3 and 4-year-olds, preschoolers. And you need to reconfirm your details every 3 months to keep getting the top up to your account. So just a last reminder, the government will top up your childcare cost by 25%. It applies to working parents of children under the age of 11 or 17 if they have a disability. You apply and manage your account through the .gov.uk website, and you must use a registered childcare provider.
Now we're moving on to the high income child benefit charge. I've heard some people have to pay back child benefit. What's that about?
The high income child benefit charge is a tax charge that applies if you or your partner claim child benefit and either of you has an adjusted net income over £60,000 a year. It effectively reduces or claws back some of the child benefit received. Who does it affect? It only applies if you or your partner earn more than £60,000 or either of you receive child benefit. It doesn't matter which partner receives the child benefit. the higher earner is responsible for the charge. Okay? And how much is this charge? If the income is 60,000 to 80,000, you pay 1% of the child benefit for every £200 of income above 60,000, or at 80,000 or more, you repay 100% of the child benefit. Example, family receiving £1,885 in child benefit for one child, higher earner makes 65,000, that's 5,000 over the 60k threshold. 5,000 divided by £100 equals 25, and if you multiply that by 0.5%, that equals a 25% charge. They must pay back 25% of 1,885, which equates to £471.
Okay.
Okay, and how is that going to be paid? The higher earner must register for assessment through the HMRC app, or the gov.uk, doing it manually through a form, complete the tax return, pay the surcharge via self-assessment each year.
Judy, what else about the high income child benefit charge?
Okay, so you have got some options. You can either keep claiming child benefit and pay the charge through your tax, and it's still worth doing because it protects your national insurance credits, which is important for your state pension in the long term, and it also ensures that your child is automatically issued a national insurance number when your child reaches the age of 16. Or you can opt out of receiving payments but remain registered for child benefit. So that prevents the need for completing a self-assessment if you don't want the payments. You need to be aware of the key dates and deadlines. The charge applies to income from the 2012-2013 tax year onwards, and you must file your tax return and pay by the self-assessment deadline, which is of course the 31st of January following the tax year. So as a quick summary, this applies to anyone earning over £60,000 if they or their partner claim child benefit. With an income of between £60,000 and £80,000, you are looking at a partial repayment. With an income over £80,000, that would be a full repayment. It's still beneficial to register for child benefit even if you don't claim it, because of the credits and because of the national insurance number. Then the charge is paid through self-assessment by the higher earner. With these podcasts, we always like to introduce a trending item that's coming through our social media posts, and in this case, it's the Child Trust Fund. Child Trust Funds have been by far our most popular topic across all of our social media platforms, and we've had a couple of videos go crazy viral, reaching millions and millions of people, and thousands of comments from people who didn't know about it, were curious about how it works, or were shocked to find out that they might actually have some money saved in lost or forgotten accounts. So Milan and Shahid, I'm sure you can fill in our audience on what it means and how it works.
Yeah. So Milan, as this Child Trust Fund topic is very prevalent on social media, maybe you can tell us a bit more about what it's about and how it works.
Yeah, so one of our most asked questions on social media is, what's the Child Trust Fund and how can people access it? So the Child Trust Fund was a long-term savings account set up by the government for children born between 1st of September 2002 and 2nd of January 2011. The government made it an initial voucher payment. Usually it was £250 or £500 if the family received certain benefits. Additional contributions could be made by parents, family or friends. The scheme is now closed though, for new accounts, but existing accounts continue until the child turns 18 when they can access the money, and that's why most of the people were asking about Child Trust Fund, because their parents sometimes didn't tell them about this Child Trust Fund account, or maybe they just forgot about it. Who can have a Child Trust Fund? Children born between 1st of September 2002 and 2nd of January 2011 automatically received a Child Trust Fund set by the government. Parents could set it up either a stakeholder account by default or a non-stakeholder account with an approved provider. So how it works, the money in the Child Trust Fund grows over time and they're tax-free. Parents and family and friends can contribute up to £9,000 per year. Limit may vary depending on the year of the contribution rules. The account is managed by a bank, building society, or another approved provider.
So, Milan, how do we access the funds?
Well, when the child turns 18, this was another question that was asked by a lot of our followers online because they didn't know when they can access the money. As I said, the child turns 18 and they can withdraw the full amount or transfer to an adult individual savings account, ISA. How they can check and manage their accounts, the child or the parent and the guardian can check balances and manage the account online via the provider. And also, when the child turns 18, they automatically can access and claim their savings from the account. Parents or guardians do not have this permission. They cannot claim the money that are saved on these accounts. Also, HMRC can help locate the child trust fund if the provider is unknown using the child unique taxpayer reference or details from the child trust fund account database. So some keynotes for parents and guardians: no tax is due on interest, dividends, or capital gains. Money cannot be withdrawn until the age of 18, and contributions above the annual limit are not allowed. So, quick summary: government savings account for children born between 2002 and 2011 is the Child Trust Fund. It's tax-free growth. It's accessible when the child turns 18, can be transferred to an adult ISA at the point, and the scheme is now closed for new accounts, so people can claim it online by going to the government's website, gov.uk. And you can search Child Trust Fund, find lost or forgotten account. All right, guys, it's time for our quick tips round. Fast, practical advice, all in under 5 seconds. All right, Shahid, what tip do you have for our viewers today?
So, the key tip is for users to use the HMRC app. HMRC app is a free mobile application available on Android and iOS devices. So, it allows users to form everyday tax benefits and benefit tasks, such as checking tax codes, income tax information, national insurance numbers, state pensions, and various benefits. So it gives you a whole picture of the client's financial and tax information.
Okay. All right, Judy, what about you? What tip do you have for our viewers today?
If you're struggling at all with opening a government gateway account, which we've talked about several times during this podcast, you're welcome to either call in at our drop-in sessions, all of which are advertised on our website and on social media. We also have a digital support service available by appointment. So you can come down, use equipment here, and have support from somebody face-to-face on a one-to-one basis to help you get your gateway account set up.
Yeah, and this is for people who live in the Burnley, Pendle, Hyndburn, Rosendale, and Ribble Valley area. And that's it for today's episode of Advice Avenue. Thank you a lot, everyone, for watching. For more advice and information, visit our website. It will be down under our comment section, and follow us on all other social media platforms. Links also down below. If you got any questions you want answered in an upcoming episode, send it our way by commenting below. Thanks for tuning in to Advice Avenue. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone who might need it. And we'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.